Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show. We have a really stacked episode here of the NBA. A lot of NBA news to talk about here, so I'm gonna get just straight to the point. So first story we're gonna start off with, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12 stories I'm gonna talk about. It's probably be a long video, so, but maybe not. Depends on how much I have to say about these. Russell Westbrook, he's planning to exercise his $47.1 million player option for next season with the Los Angeles Lakers. And he's going to be the, I believe, third highest paid player next season, which is crazy. It's crazy how Russell Westbrook is now going to be the second highest or third behind James Harden, who's also overpaid him. James Harden. I think Steph's going to be the highest paid player, which he deserves. But Westbrook was terrible last season. Look at his shooting splits. Okay, he played terrible last year, though. He just not that good anymore. Or maybe he's just not a right fit with the Lakers, maybe, but that's a lot of money. He's just overpaid. He's not that good of a player anymore. It's just the truth. I just don't think Westbrook's that good anymore, but he's staying with the Lakers for another year. But 47 million, near 50 mil. It's really so much of an overpay for the Lakers. Next thing we're talking back in the news, DeJounte Murray. The Spurs asking price. I said a few days ago, like on the other NBA news or whatever, and one of the sports podcasts or one of the NBA news uploads, that the asking price was 3 first-round picks. It's now 4 first-round picks. The Spurs asking price for DeJounte Murray is 4 first-round picks. And I can't blame the Spurs here. If you're going to trade DeJounte Murray, you have to get at least 3 or 4 first-round picks. And what teams have those? I mean, like the Knicks, maybe? Maybe the Thunder. They have a lot of first-round picks. They could afford to trade a few first-round picks to get DeJounte Murray. You could pair him up with Shai Gilgeous, Alexander, Dort, Chad. But maybe the Knicks, the Thunder, the only teams I really think they could probably do that because they got the draft picks they could trade. But yeah. But I mean, I get it. He's an all-star point guard from last season. It's improved every single season. And yeah, if you're gonna trade him, you have to at least get 3, 4 first-round picks. And it seems like he's going with the Hawks. If the Spurs, I saw a report like the asking price that what the Spurs would probably get back was like a few first-round picks and the Danilo Gallinari. I mean, I get the first-round picks, but Danilo Gallinari can't get John Collins. Anyways, the Mavericks are among the most serious suitors for Gary Payton II. I really don't see this happening. I think Gary Payton II is going to stay with the Warriors. Warriors really need to keep him. He's one of their best defensive players. They're going to keep him, no doubt. They're probably going to keep him and Kevon Looney, and then let go Otto Porter probably, and then bring back Bjelica on like a vet minimum. Next thing I want to talk about is the Pacers and Miles Bridges. They have a high leave of mutual interest. The Miles Bridges, Hornets won't pay him the money, but yet they'll pay Gordon Hayward all that money, but they won't give it to Miles Bridges, which is a little interesting. But apparently now he's entering free agency. Some good players in free agency. You got now Miles Bridges is entering free agency, and he has some interest with the Pacers. I don't know why the Hornets don't want to pay him. I mean, they've paid freaking Terry Rozier. I mean, he's a decent player, like $20 million or like a year, but they won't pay that to Miles Bridges. They paid Gordon Hayward a lot of money, but they won't pay Miles Bridges, so that would be a big loss for that team. Miles Bridges really improved last season, so I don't know why they wouldn't offer him some money to at least try and keep him. But yeah. Next thing we're gonna talk about here is Kyrie Irving. He's opting into his $37 million player option for the 2022-23 season. The reason he's coming back to the Nets, they couldn't find a sign and trade partner. As I figured, I know nobody wanted him except the desperate Lakers, but they have nothing to offer. So the teams that he wanted, they weren't interested except the desperate Lakers, but they had nothing to offer. So he had really no choice but to come back to the Nets for next season. Really, he had no choice because no other team was gonna want him. So good choice for Kyrie to go back to the Nets. So we'll see what happens next season with Brooklyn now that Kevin Durant's probably going to stay since Kyrie's staying for this season. Things are fixed now for the short term for the Nets, but we'll see what happens long term, ladies and gentlemen, here for the Brooklyn Nets. Next thing we'll talk about is the Chicago Bulls. They're expected to offer Zach LaVine a max 5-year, $212 million. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, anybody could get a max. They just offer anybody a max contract." But the thing is, Terry Rozier's just like a mid player. He's okay. He's all right, and he averages like, and he has like gets like 20 mil a year. If you're an all-star like Zach LaVine, you want more than that. So I have no problem with the Bulls expecting to offer him a max 5-year, 212 million. He's one of their best. He's probably, if not their best player, at least their second best. He's been one of their most consistent players the last few seasons since they got him. So it's either you overpay for him, which I don't think it's an overpay, but it's either you pay him that much or he leaves your team. I would rather overpay. It's not overpay, in my opinion. Next thing I want to talk about is Kevin Durant. As I just said with the Kyrie thing, Kevin Durant, he's expected to move forward with the Nets roster this year. He's now expected to stay since Kyrie opted into his player option. He was waiting to see what Kyrie Irving would do. Would he stay with Brooklyn? Would he accept his player option? Would he leave? He accepted his player option, so Kyrie Irving staying with the Nets, and Kevin Durant's looking like he's going to move forward at least for this year with the roster with the Brooklyn Nets. So we'll see how that plays out for the Brooklyn Nets that Kyrie and Kevin Durant are back. I don't know if that will change anything because they played like last year, some like games last year in the playoffs, and they still struggled to win. Got swept. Next thing I want to talk about is the Boston Celtics. They hired an assistant coach. I don't think it's an assistant coach. I think it's just an assistant. Will Hardy. He'll be the Jazz new coach. He was an assistant with the Celtics, I believe, from like 2015 or something. I believe. And he'll be the Jazz. And he'll be the Jazz new head coach for the upcoming season. So we'll see how this hire goes for the Jazz. Since that's their new head coach after Quinn Snyder stepped down, so we'll see how Will Hardy does with the Utah Jazz. Another thing I want to talk about, Miami Heat. They've checked in on DeJounte Murray. So the Heat have now checked in on DeJounte Murray, which Kyle Lowry's getting up there in age. He's only going to play probably a few more seasons. They've checked in. Maybe they'll throw an offer for DeJounte Murray, so they can maybe get a young all-star point guard because Kyle Lowry's getting old. So if I was the Miami Heat, I would throw an offer at the Spurs. Trying if you have some like first-round picks and maybe some young players you could give up. With the New York Knicks, it's widely anticipated that Jalen Brunson will go to the Knicks on a 4-year deal for $100 million. The Knicks, man, sorry franchise. Like, I get Jalen Brunson's good. He had a good season and a decent season, but and a good playoff run. But he's not worth 4 years, $110 million. Even Knicks fans are saying that. Everybody's saying that, and it's just true. Jalen Brunson is not worth this 4 years, $110 million to the New York Knicks. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but it's probably most likely he's gonna leave the Dallas Mavericks and go to the New York Knicks on a big deal. So that would be a huge overpay for the New York Knicks. They had a terrible draft. The only thing they drafted a player. They traded for a bunch of future first round picks. So. And they let go Kemba just so they can clear up cap space and then go after Jalen Brunson. God, sorry ass franchise. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is the Miami Heat. They also have interest in T.J. Warren. That's gonna be interesting. T.J. Warren and Jimmy Butler on the same team. Maybe they're chill now after that incident they had a few years ago. Um, so yeah, and PJ Tucker. One more thing I want to talk about, I didn't write it down, but PJ Tucker, um, it's most likely he's going to the Sixers on a 3-year, $30 million deal. And it's not that bad as people think it is. It's like 9 or 10 mil per year, so it's not that bad. So just wanted to get that out right quick. PJ Tucker is probably going to go to the Sixers. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, um, that's all I have to say for the NBA news, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'm out like a light, and I'll be here in a few. Can't wait for free agency in a few days. I'm doing like my first few videos I saw on my channel, NBA free agency recaps. Can't wait to do those again. So that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'm out a light, and Thursday NBA free agency.